Straight all day.
You're now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves me, you, him, her, them, and they to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show, one daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, why you want to get to the third day as quickly as possible. And when I say get to the third day in the context of today's episode, I'm not talking about get to the third day as in go get the book, even though you should go get the book. You should have already ordered it. But if you didn't order the book yet, go to thirddaybook.com. Place your claim on that book because I'm giving you the book for free. All you're going to do is cover the shipping. You can do that right now as you're listening to me talk. When I say get to the third day as quickly as possible, in the context today, I'm talking about why you want to get to that situation where the newness is worn off, the novelty is gone, you're not really feeling your best, but you need to perform at your best. That's what I mean when I say get to the third day as quickly as possible. Before I go deeper into this, let me tell you that I have a text line where I want you to send me a text message right now or during this episode or tomorrow once you had a chance to marinate on it and tell me the best insight you got from today, or if you have a question about something today. If I said something today that really resonated with you, I want you to tell me what it is. My number is 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. Now, why I say get to the third day as quickly as possible, I'll tell you a quick little story. When I was traveling, I traveled for about 3 weeks in May going into June of this year, 2021. And I didn't do any cardio while I was traveling. I did lift weights, but I didn't do cardio. So when I came back, I remember I arrived back in Miami on a Sunday at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And I went for a run outside that very day. And the goal was to run, I was gonna run like a full 7 mile route that I usually run on weekends. And I didn't do the whole 7, I ended up doing like 5 miles because my body just wasn't in the shape to do it. I could run at a good pace in spurts, but my body wasn't conditioned to do that run because I had taken it wasn't even the time that I was on away traveling, but even before that, I had taken a whole month from the last week of April, all of May, and the first week of June. So I took a whole 6 weeks off from doing cardio. So I had lost the conditioning that I was in before I stopped running. I wasn't still at that place. So in order for me to get back to that place, I had to start over again at what we call the first day. Now, the third day being my new book, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. The first day, for those of you who don't know what that is, if you never heard me talk about it before, then I would refer you to episode, let me make sure I'm telling you the right one. That is episode number 1262, Handling the First Day. It's any situation where you have already gotten into your zone. You already know what it feels like to be at your best. You know what it feels like to be at that peak state. You have built yourself up to that peak level, but for whatever reason, you fell off of that conditioning. Meaning, let's say you have really big muscles and you were feeling really strong, but then you didn't lift weights for a month. Or you were really good at writing. You were just in your zone writing because you were writing 500 words a day, but then you didn't write for 3 weeks, and now you're getting back to writing. Or you were doing cardio and you were able to hit a certain pace every time that you ran, a certain distance, and you weren't even getting tired while you were doing it, but then you took 6 weeks off. What happens when you come back? Any of you who have ever been in this space, you know what happens when you come back. Even though you know what you're capable of and you know what it looks like and feels like to be at that level, you're not there anymore because of the time away. Because you haven't been doing it, because you didn't stick to the discipline. Again, maybe you didn't stick to the discipline on purpose because you needed some time off. I needed to give my legs some rest. I purposely got off of the discipline. Maybe you got injured and you didn't want to get off of the discipline. Maybe you just didn't have access to the gym because there were a COVID pandemic shutdown and you weren't able to lift weights the way that you wanted to. So maybe you chose to get off the discipline. Maybe you didn't choose. Whatever the reason, when you get away from the discipline and the routine for a certain amount of time, you have to work your way back. And that is what we call the first day. So this is for those of you who knows what it is like to be there, but you're not there anymore. So on the first day, you got to respect the fact that you have to earn your way back to where you were. Or you're not going to immediately jump right to where you want to get to. And this is what I'm talking about for either those of you who are brand new at something. you're going to eventually hit that third day. It might be the third day, literally the third day that you're doing it, but at some point you're going to hit that third day when you realize that it's not new anymore, it's not so exciting and fun anymore just off of the novelty of it, but there is a job to be done you're responsible for. Or those of you who already know what it feels like to conquer that third day, but because you got out of your routine, now you got to reconquer the third day. All right, why do you want to get to that position as quickly as possible? That's what we're talking about here today. And how do you know that you're at that third day? Is when you're in that situation, like, damn, all right, it's not exciting anymore based on the newness. It's not that exciting anymore based on the work itself because you've gotten used to it enough, or you got used enough to the person, or you got used enough to the routine. Whatever it is not that exciting anymore just based on that. At this point, now it takes a little bit of grit, it takes a little bit of mental toughness, it takes a little bit of will, a little bit of determination, a good amount of discipline and professionalism to do the job, because you don't really have anything else to get excited about with this job. You're not really that inspired. You're not really that motivated. That's the third day. All of us have been there many times. Some of you are there right now in something that you're doing. I'm telling you today, here's why you want to get to that place as quickly as possible in anything that you do. Yes, this is not something to avoid. The third day is something you want to get to. You want to sprint to the third day as quickly as possible. And today I'm going to explain to you why that is and what it's going to do for you. Point number one, because it's inevitable. Anything that you do that you're actually going to do well, it's inevitable that you are going to run into the third day. How do I know this? Well, how do you know it? It's because nothing stays exciting forever. Any of you who's in a relationship, look at your significant other. You remember when you used to be excited to see this person every time? You remember when you would spend the whole day talking to this person and y'all didn't run out of things to talk about? How long ago was that? The excitement eventually is going to wear off, no matter how great the person is. You might still love them. The person might still be amazing, but you're not so excited about them every time you see them anymore because the excitement eventually it just wears off. You've seen it enough that you got accustomed to it. What about the car that you drive? Remember when that car was brand new, or it was at least brand new to you? All right, maybe it's not so brand new anymore. You still love the car, but it's not as new anymore. You're not excited just about the fact that you're getting in the car because you've been in it and out of it so many times already. What about your business or about your job? Remember when you first started and it was so exciting to learn all these new things and do all these new things you were doing on the job? That's not happening anymore, is it? Nothing stays exciting forever. Nothing stays new forever. Doesn't mean that you have to lose your passion for something. It doesn't mean that you stop doing it or that you stop caring about it or him or her. What I'm saying is not always going to be new. So the excitement and the motivation that come with something being brand new does not last forever. It is guaranteed. Every job you possibly get into in life, one day you're going to realize, oh, this is actually a job. Any job that you have never had but you think would be a fun job to have. Like you think it would be fun to be a professional athlete. It would be fun to be a full-time influencer. It would be fun to be a podcaster who can make your living from podcasting. Or it would be fun to be a musician, or fun to be a CEO, or fun to be an entrepreneur selling your products. Any one of those jobs or any other job you can think of that looks like your dream job, if you actually get that job, or maybe some of you right now who are in what you would consider your dream job, tell me, how long did it take for you to realize, okay, yes, I still love having this job, but there is some damn work to be done in this job, and it's more than it looked like from the outside. How many people, if you're listening to me right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I want you to text me and tell me. Again, my number is 305-384-6894. You are in the job that you wanted. This is the job that you wanted to have. You still want to have it, but you realized there was a point. I want you to tell me what this point was. When you realized, oh, there's a little bit of work that needs to be done here. All right, there's some grind that goes into this job. It is not all fun and games. It looked like all fun and games from the outside. You knew that it wasn't, but you didn't know exactly how you would find out, but you did find out. I want you to tell me how and when you found out that your job wasn't all fun and games, that there was going to be some third days in that job. Every job has that moment when we realize, oh, this is actually a job. Job, capital J, capital O, capital B. There's some work to be done here. Anyone who's in a relationship, a long-term relationship, eventually one day you realize, okay, there's some work that needs to be done for this relationship. This is not just going to be all fun and games. The sooner you get to this point, we're still on point number one here. The sooner you get to this point that you realize that this is really a job, that's the sooner that you can decide if you really want the job. Think about any relationship that you've ever been in with a person. Of course, at the beginning, there's the infatuation / honeymoon stage. Eventually, you get to the third day with that individual. The third day is when you realize this person, maybe if they're staying at your place or you're staying at theirs, or you two are cohabitating, you realize, oh, this person has some habits that are a little bit quirky to you, some habits that might be a little bit annoying to you, some habits that need to be directly addressed because you can't deal with those habits anymore. That's the third day. All right, do I even want to deal with this habit? Do I even want to address this topic with this person? Or do I want to just let them go so I don't even have to deal with it anymore? That is the third day. When any of you playing a sport, when you realize that your coach might have some ideas or some practices that you're not too keen on, but if you're going to be on the team, you got to deal with them. Or maybe one of your teammates that you don't really like, but y'all going to be on the team for the whole season. Do you want to stay on the team and deal with this person, or do you want to just walk away? That is the third day. When you're running a business and you realize, oh, there's some work that needs to be done here in this business that I wasn't even thinking about when I initially started the business. Do I want to do this work, or do I want to just cut my losses and move on? That is the third day. The sooner you get to this point in anything you do in life, the sooner you can decide, do I really want to do this and deal with this shit that comes with the job? Because every job, just in case you didn't know, any of you who doesn't have a job or you're not in your dream job right now, but you're trying to get to it, I want you to understand, hear it from me first. Every job has some shit that goes with it. The question is, just what flavor of shit sandwich do you want to eat? I talked about this in episode number 1663. Your favorite flavor of shit sandwich. No matter what you do in life, no matter who you date, no matter what job you have, what business you start, what sports you play, what city you live in, what kind of house you decide to build your home in, how many kids you want to have, no matter what you do, no matter if you want to be a bodybuilder, you want to be an athlete, you want to be a musician, you want to be an influencer, you want to live somewhere that has snow in the winter or is hot all year round, there will be some shit that you have to deal with, guaranteed. The question is, what flavor of shit sandwich do you want to eat? All right, you cannot avoid the shit sandwich. You must eat the shit sandwich. Episode again, 1663. The sooner you get to it, the sooner you can decide. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is why you want to get to the third day as quickly as possible. The third day is the Mendoza line. It's the separation between amateur and professional. Most people never reach the professional level at anything that they do simply because most people only want a job or a title or a relationship only as long as it's fun and games and is easy. Most people will stick around with something as long as it's all fun and games, as long as it's easy, as long as there's no grind, as long as there's no shit sandwich to be consumed. But as soon as it gets to that point, a lot of people run away. Now, the professionals who are listening to me right now, tell me if I'm wrong. Text me and tell me that I got this right, or tell me that I got it wrong. Tell me, how many people have you seen in your profession come and go when they realize that this is a little bit more work than they thought it was? How many people have you been maybe in a relationship with when they realized that there was a little bit of work to that relationship, they didn't want to be in a relationship anymore? And the person had potential, but they didn't want to do the work. How many of you have seen this? How many people have you seen who wanted to do the same thing that you do? They wanted to be a coach. They wanted to be a podcaster. They wanted to be an athlete. They wanted to be an influencer. They wanted to get into the industry that you got in. But then as soon as they get into it and they realize, oh, there's a whole lot of shit underneath all the glitz and glamour, that they didn't want to do it anymore and they disappear. You haven't heard from them since. How many of you have seen this happen? See the episode that I did recently on being an influencer. This is something that happened with those kids who wanted to get into that influencer industry, and they realized, oh, this is a little bit more work than I thought it was. Let me see where that episode is. Episode 1862. Do you want to be a creator or an influencer? Listen to this now. And also episode 1690, where I talked about this. What happened with those influencers in the influencer economy, I guess that's what they're calling it now, is those kids ran into the third day. That's what they really ran into. They thought they were running into, and they also ran into economic and business reality, but we'll call it the third day. Because they thought it was all fun and games. So all I gotta do is pick up my phone and do something funny and do a dance, and I can make money, and I can make a full-time living. No, I wanna do that. Now, how many kids wanna do that right now? Until they realize, oh, there's a shit sandwich you gotta eat in order to do that for a living. And then they got a taste of that shit sandwich, and they realized they didn't wanna eat it, and then they went and cried to the New York Times. Hey, don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you what happened. All right, listen to episode 1862. I laid it out for you in detail. Everything looks fun from the outside looking in, or a lot of things look fun from the outside looking in, until you get on the inside and realize that there's a job and there's a buffet of shit sandwiches that you must eat to keep that job. So the third day, everyone, is the separation day between the dabblers and the serious. And the dabblers become serious when they eat that shit sandwich and lick their lips after. And the dabblers are the ones who look at that shit sandwich and say, you know what, I'm gonna go to Chipotle instead. Which one are you? Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is why you want to get to the third day as quickly as possible. Once you reach the third day, one of two things is going to happen. You either handle the third day by making the decision to show up and deliver your best even when you least feel like it, or the third day will handle you by kicking your ass all up and down the basketball court, all around every corner of that office, all up and down the elevator, all over the TikTok app, whatever it's going to be. The third day will either kick your ass or you will kick its ass. Those are the only options. Or only one person can come out of the room. That's what happens when you reach the third day. Are you going to eat the shit sandwich, or is the shit sandwich going to eat you? Once you handle the third day, then you get to what we call the fourth day. And the fourth day does not mean that the work got any easier. Work is exactly the same as it was on the third day. The thing is, now it's easy for you to do that work because you've already handled it. You already have faced down the challenge of the third day. So even though the work is not any easier, you make it look easier and it feels easier to you. And as long as you stick to the discipline, you will stay on the fourth day. But as soon as you fall off the wagon, all right, you got to go back to the first day. You got to work your way back up. It's kind of like climbing up to the top of a ladder. And as long as you don't get blown, the wind doesn't blow you off the ladder, you can stay up there at the top. But if the wind blows you off, you got to climb back up again. The work doesn't get easier on the fourth day, but it feels easy because you've been there, you've done that, and you can make it look easy. I talked about this in episode 931. What is expected of you when the word professional is next to your name? When you're a pro, you make your work look easy. It's not actually easy, but you make it look easy because you're conditioned to do the work. That's why it looks easy. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was playing basketball in Germany, I remember this agent, I was in Hanover, Germany, and this agent said, I'm going to take you to a practice with this team that I have a relationship with. I'm going to let you practice with the team, because he hadn't seen me play yet. I had got in touch with him through a person who knew a person who knew a person. And he said, all right, I'm going to bring you to this practice, and you're going to practice with the team, because he wanted to get a look in my game. So he wanted to see what I could do against these other pro-level players. So I go through the practice with this team, and I remember specifically this day, because the floor in that gym was dusty as hell. So any of you ever watch a basketball game, you see basketball players wiping the bottom of their shoes. Players used to always ask me this when I was making basketball YouTube videos. Dre, why are you always wiping the bottom of your shoes? Is that like good luck? What are you doing that for? And I would explain to them that the floor was dusty, so I would wipe the bottom of my shoes so I could actually have some grip, so I could do the moves that I needed to do in the video. And in Germany, this gym was so dusty, I had to keep wiping the bottom of my shoes. And even when I did that, the floor was still dusty. I couldn't really get traction. And if you have never played basketball before, understand that when you can't get traction, it's hard to stop quickly and move in the opposite direction. So your agility is compromised because you can't stop and go the other way. And so it's harder to kind of fake the defenders out of the way because you can't move the same way. So while we're in this practice, I remember we did this one-on-one drill, and they had me matched up with this young German kid. This kid was probably, at this time, this is Germany, so what am I? I'm about 25, 26. And this kid, maybe 18, 19. He's one of the youth players, but he was practicing with the main grown man team. So they had me matched up with him. He was taller than me. He's about 6'5", 6'6", but skinny and inexperienced. So this one-on-one drill, I get the ball, and my job is to try to score on him. His job is to try to stop me. And then we would switch places, and he would try to score on me. So I got 5 chances to score on him. He got 5 chances to score on me. I went 5-0, and he went 0 for 5, meaning I scored on him every time. I stopped him every single time that he went. I went perfect in the drill. So I'm feeling good about myself. I'm like, yeah, this agent watching me, he brought me to this practice, see what I can do. I showed that I know what the hell I'm doing. So we go to dinner after the practice. And it's me, this German agent, and his assistant, who was another German guy. And they had both been watching the practice. So we're sitting there talking, and he's about to tell me his evaluation of my game and what he thinks my options are, what my potential is as far as what job opportunities he can get me in this country. And he says to me, I was kind of unimpressed with the way you performed in practice today. And the food almost fell out of my mouth. I said, what? Didn't you just see me kicking that German kid's ass in this one-on-one drill? He said, yeah, Dre, I did see you doing that, but, you didn't make it look easy. You had to dribble like 3 or 4 times to score on that kid. You as an American player, we expect you to score on that kid after on just one move. You don't have to do all those different moves. And I didn't even explain to him, I didn't offer him what would have sounded like an excuse of this dusty ass floor, but that was really the reason why I was taking as much time as I was taking, because I couldn't move explosively because the floor was so goddamn slippery. But anyway, the whole point is, when you're a professional, you're expected to make it look easy. And when you get to the 4th day, things do become easy, unless the floor is so slippery that you can't move. So when you watch basketball on TV, for example, that basketball court is a lot longer when you're actually running on it than it looks like, even if you're sitting next to it watching everybody else run. Because those guys who are out there running, they're in such great shape, they make it look smaller than it actually is. You get out there and run up and down that court 2 or 3 times, you're gonna realize damn, this court is long. But again, the pros make it look easy. That's the point that I'm making here. So all that said, let's recap today's class, which is why you wanna get to the 3rd day as quickly as possible. That is the situation when you realize that the job is actually a job, that there is a shit sandwich that must be consumed, and you are the person that needs to eat it. Point number 1, it is inevitable. Nothing stays exciting forever. Nothing stays new forever. Every job you get into, every relationship you get into, every venture you begin, there will become a moment when you realize that, damn, this is an actual job and there is a big shit sandwich that I need to eat on brioche bread. The sooner you get to it, the sooner you can decide if you really want this position or role or if you don't. Point number 2, the 3rd day is the separation between the amateurs and the professionals. Most people do not become pros at what they do because most people only want something when it looks like fun and games and it looks easy. But see the episode on influencers, and like I just told you about things looking easy, pros make things look easy when you're watching them, so everybody wants to get into something when they see a pro. They don't realize that the pro had to do a lot of work to make it look that easy. But then when you get in it, you realize this. So see the episode I did on influencers, 1862. They realized that it wasn't all fun and games, that there was a shit sandwich they needed to eat. They didn't want to eat it, and then they start crying about their situation. What they really got was not, they didn't get taken advantage of. What they really got was a business lesson. So the 3rd day is a separation day between the dabblers and the serious. And point number 3, once you reach the 3rd day, you either handle the 3rd day or the 3rd day will handle you. If it handles you, you can try again. All right, the 3rd day kicks your ass, you can come back and try again. You try to finish a marathon, you don't finish it, you can sign up for the next year marathon and make sure you get it right the next time. The work does not get easier when you reach what we call the 4th day, which is what happens when you handle the 3rd day, but you make it look easy and it feels easier. Again, this is why people are tempted into wanting to become professional fill in the blank. Whatever you do for a living, if you're a professional at what you do, how many people do you hear talking about wanting to do the same thing that you do? They want to do it because they see you doing it and you make it look easy because you have mastered the 3rd day. They don't realize that they have to go through that 3rd day and they got to eat a healthy diet of those shit sandwiches to make it look as easy as you make it look. And they won't figure that out until they go through it themselves. But that's why I'm trying to solve this problem by writing this book called The 3rd Day, the decision that separates the pros from the amateurs. So if you have not yet claimed your free copy of this book, go to thirddaybook.com. The link is down below in the description, or just send a text with the number 3, just the number 3, to my number 305-384-6894. I'll send you a link to where you can claim your free, yes, you heard me, free copy of this book, The 3rd Day, at thirddaybook.com. Work on your game. Dre, all